Right. I wasn't excelling like I had in high school. I expected more of myself, and it got to a certain point where mom swooped in and she was like, "We got to change this. It's not good for you. And if it's not working, then let's stop something else." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that was an option."
I think the minute I stepped on a practice field for rugby, the calling happened.
An 8-year plan to be on the team, and I was in it within 2 years.
Don't wait until you are a pro to be a pro, right?
Like, I like doing something, stopping and learning from it.
Like, it just looked like it was a heavy hit.
To give up, it's not an option.
That's the first time I played like professionally.
I'm making rugby money. How can I make money outside of it?
And there was two Scottish guys, and they said, "Oh, you're here for the movie."
Rugby is a sport where that's often coupled with actually having a good time.
He looked at me and he says, "You guys are awesome."
Grow rugby, 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 grow rugby.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of Grow Rugby. My name is GiftTime Ebola, and this is a show where we speak with people about the opportunities that they have found, created, or taken advantage of via rugby. Man, we had a great weekend. I know if you guys don't know, we had the HBCU Rugby Classic go off this past weekend. And man, look, it was part of the reason we couldn't do the podcast last week because my body was shutting down. There was so much to do. And look, to anybody who wants to organize a tournament in the future, do not try and do it by yourself, especially if you want the tournament to mean something, because it is not worth the stress. Add a tip, don't do it within a month and a half, all right? It doesn't work out. It worked out, but it's not good for your body. Like you're going to really start to shut off on something. So I'm happy that we got this off. It kicked off. It went smoothly. We wanted to go 2 days, but weather and the health of players prevented it from ended up happening on it. But you know what? It was a great one-day event on Saturday and May 1st, and it was, what a way to kick off a month. What a way to be able to just, man, bring all these people together. Yo, it was so fun. We're going to have the videos up. There's a stream already available on Facebook, but we got some YouTube. We're going to put more up on the YouTube channel here on GiftTime Rugby Network YouTube channel. So you'll be able to see the full games and everything like that. But yo, this was legit. This was so legit. I mean, the vibes were great. Just the game action was intense and exciting. You know, people who had never seen it, of course, came out and loved it. A lot of people got lost trying to find the field because Highland Road Park, the rugby field on Highland Road Park, definitely are kind of weird. Like, people, you get to the park, but you don't think to keep going around because it's neighborhoods that you see. So some people just were getting lost, but man, it was good. Good times, good food, good people, good vibes. Oh my goodness, everybody, it was all love, connecting with players, everybody just getting a feeling. That's basically what you always want from rugby, from any rugby event, you know. And we didn't get to have like performers like we normally do, but I can't even lie. This was fantastic. This was spectacular. I couldn't ask for better, and I can't wait till next year to be able to do this again. Because man, it's some work. And each year it adds a different level of work, but man, it gets more and more fulfilling every single time. So, man, I got, look, I'm not even going to go through I'm going to go through this every single one. So if you guys want to skip it, I mean, you're kind of horrible on the inside, but you guys can and get to the interview. But I got to give out the proper thanks. I had to make sure to write it down. So First and foremost, want to thank the teams that made it out. I want to thank Raheem Vital and Karima and the entire Prairie View A&M rugby team. That's men and women. Women came for the first time, I would say major appearance of the Prairie View A&M women to come play, and they came out hard. Yo, those women can tackle, yo, and they were playing against a tough Roots teams, 2 of them, and as well as Louisiana Lanyap. So big thanks to them. They were the only collegiate team that was actually out there. So they held their own in that regard. I want to thank Tiana and Kyle Granby, Tiffany Faye, Derek Lipskin, and the entire Roots men and women's team. They came strong. They came to play. There was uncertainty a little bit because we had a lot of cancellations, but they came, they played their hearts out. They connected with the other teams, and man, it was great. This would not have been able to be the same if they hadn't been a part of it. And I'm so happy because people don't know, we've been working on trying to get them here for almost since they were created. Actually, since they were created. And we were always just trying to figure out the right time. Last year was supposed to be the time when it was going to go down, but of course COVID came in. So to be able to get it this time finally was like with everything, and it was worth it. Yo, that's a different level of mindset. I can't wait to bring them again and to give them even a different competition, because we're going to put time into this one too. I want to say thanks to Sarah Chicken Drake and the entire Louisiana Lanyap women's team out here, because they were our filler-in team, and to be honest with you, they came to played so well. They completed the bracket, gave people the game. Like, it was, I don't know if it would have been able to work the exact same if they hadn't been a part of it, and I'm so glad that they were willing to. It was nice to have a hometown team because they are based primarily out of Baton Rouge, so it was nice to have people that were from Baton Rouge being able to participate in it, and they played phenomenally. You couldn't ask for better. All the games and went through with it. I want to thank Shane Young and Devin O'Brien and the entire Memphis Inner City rugby squad. That's boys and girls. They came out defending champs. Yo, they came to play, put up the hard numbers. It was so great to be able to see them again. Shane and Devin have done such a great job with that program. I mean, they are literally the program to copy on this. Between Stuart Crone and ISEF and Shane Young and Memphis Inner City Rugby, when it comes to predominantly black and people of color youth rugby teams, and the impetus of creating opportunity in that, not just simply bringing it, but creating opportunity for them through that. I would easily say Shane Young and Devin O'Brien with Memphis Inner City Rugby are literally the U.S. creme de la creme, and actually probably is a model that can be replicated around the world. So I hope you guys man, that was so much. And then, of course, our other newest entries, because we had 3 brand new teams that came in. It was Dallas Youth Rugby with Basilio Torres and Ben White, bringing the Dallas boys and girls, first-time comers. Like, oh my goodness, they were fantastic. Dallas has something special going on over there, and I can't wait to see them continue to grow for years to come. And it was a legitimate honor for them to be able to make it out to this one, because again, this tournament does not happen if they don't come through. But it was them that was brand new, Louisiana Lanyap and all of Roots Rugby, and then Prairie View A&M women's team. So we really had some newcomers in and some new looks. And again, there's not a single bit of regret that comes out from that, because they came to play. It was legit, man. So the people who won, though, we got to give it out to the award recipients. Because this was the first year that we actually had our trophies named. Before, it was always just the HBCU Rugby Classic Championship Trophy, and it still counts within that. But this is the first year that it had naming rights onto it, and our championship trophy was the Phaedra S. Knight HBCU Rugby Classic Championship Trophy. And of course, if you guys know, Phaedra is the World Rugby Hall of Famer, is about to be a USA Rugby Hall of Famer. She's an HBCU alumni of Alabama A&M, and she is just phenomenal person and created PSK Collective. Like, just amazing. Great story that she has. And I'm actually gonna, not this week, but in the next coming weeks, post an old interview that we did that just gives everything about Phaedra. And she not only helped support this HBCU Rugby Classic, she not only helped with the development of Roots Rugby, but she continues to advance for women, LGBTQ, black women, black causes. Like, she is legit. And then we also had our Ransom Ram Eddings Player of the Match trophy. And if you don't know who Ransom Ram Eddings, we got the podcast just early on. I don't remember the episode number, but Ram actually created what's a team known as the Grey Wolves, which was the first ever predominantly black touring rugby squad. So basically what Roots is prior to Roots. This was started back in the early 90s and lasted until about the 2000s. And they actually have an alumni match coming up in September to bring it back. It's been a while, but this man, his purpose was not just to bring black rugby players together to be able to learn and network and enjoy and feel the impact of knowing that others exist, but also would work actively that in any tournament that he went to, that the Grey Wolves went to, they had to have an opportunity to go talk with a school that had youth rugby, and in areas where there was predominantly black areas where you needed to expose rugby into that area, and they would actively go and do there. Actually, one of the guys who were our sponsors, Marcus Wood, he was actually impacted by the Grey Wolves. It was part of his early adoption into rugby. So when you think that you're not making a difference because maybe it didn't click, it does. It might not happen in the timing that you think, but it always does. So our Phaedra S. Knight HBCU Rugby Classic Championship Trophy recipients, for the men and women's division, it was Roots Rugby. Again, like I said, they came to play. It wasn't a game. They did their thing. My God. And they played hard. They played so hard, they shut down for the rest of the day. They were like, done. We done. And then for our U19 boys and girls division, the surprise, but I'm surprised, but when you see him, you're not surprised, was Dallas Youth Rugby boys and girls, and they came hard. Played a hard match against Memphis Inner City Rugby. That was, man, when you talk about an opening, a revealer, and this is some of the first tape that they've actually had, so it was huge to be able to see them be able to get this. I was really happy. Either teams, it sounds corny, but I'm for all of them. So I love it either way. So it worked out. But it was great to see. This was dynamic play by the boys and girls. Dynamic play. People, get your girls teams up, man. Get your girls high school teams up, because you need the counterpoint with the boys. Whenever you got a dope boys team and a dope girls team, it is probably one of the most spectacular things to watch. One of the most amazing things. It's marvelous. I can't even say. So they won. Those two teams won the championships. And then for our Ransom Ram Eddings Player of the Match trophy recipients, for the men's, we had Phil Selter of Roots Men's Red coming in. Dude was just everywhere on the tape. When you guys see it, you'll see him. He was just always in the frame, always in frame. For the women's side, we had Angelina Lomu of Roots Women's Green, who just killed it altogether. Again, always in the frame. That was the incident. It's not just how many times do you score. Scoring is important, but are you there in the tackles? Are you there for the pass? Are you a disruptant? Did your team win? So these things kind of played into the concept of it, and it was hard. I'm not going to lie. There was no easy task. These teams all played so well evenly, which is how you want rugby. To be honest, it should be incredibly difficult to find a specific player that was so game-changing, because a lot of times you just want to end up going with who's the captain, and it doesn't always make sense. But it's hard, because if you flow, you're flowing as a team, so everybody's contributing equitably. For then the boys, High School, we had Javon Bailey of Dallas Youth Rugby. Oh my God, that kid was so fast. Yo, he was playing scrum half. This kid would just take the ball and gone. Just gone. Like, he was so quick, so fast. Man, look, Life University, Lindenwood, y'all need to take him. At Central Washington, you guys need to take Iona. Somebody's got to get that kid, because that is a weapon on the field right there. And so nice, so respectful, so kind. Like, if you looked at him at first glance, you'd be like, he's not going to do anything. No, that kid tackled, that kid ran, he controlled the ball, he knew how to dictate the defense. Like, that kid was legit. That kid was legit. Javon was legit. And then the last one was Samft Falemi of Dallas Youth Rugby, another girl who was just dominant on the field. And this was hard because Dallas had a dominant girls rugby team. So, she was everywhere on it. She was powerful. She was guiding the way. It was awesome. Like I said, you'll see it on the tape. And then, of course, I want to thank the sponsors. I said I'm going through all of this. If it's too long for you, just go find the interview. But I think you guys really want to hear this. We want to thank our sponsors over there. Teresa Bowie of Baton Rouge Youth Rugby. She's the president for Baton Rouge Youth Rugby. She was a lifesaver in so many ways when developing this. Unfortunately, Baton Rouge Youth Rugby wasn't able to put the team in like we had hoped, but that didn't stop her from being able to work with getting gift bags for the teams, getting merch for the teams, and finding people to do it. She found a couple volunteers. She found got one of the sponsors from Pennington to be able to come in. She connected with even where our original school, Scotlandville High School, and everything. Worked with Cadiv and Pat LaDuff, a community program up in North Baton Rouge, and they actually the granddaughters of her were able to come down, presented an amazing popcorn. Like, Teresa was integral to this process, and so big thanks to her. And all that she's done. And look out. I don't know if Baton Rugby World, continue keeping your eye on Teresa Bowie. This is energy incarnate, and you wouldn't even imagine it. That's the beauty of rugby. If you look at first sight, it's never is what it is, man. So, of course, big thanks to Phaedra Knight. She provided advice and funds and everything. Like, she was very integral. Of course, the naming rights, but as an HBCU alum, like, that's really key, and one that's well known in the rugby community is even more rare. So we're expecting to see more and more of that to come. But she is the leader on all this. I wanted to thank Tim Falcon Law Firm. If you guys don't know who Tim Falcon is, he is also the owner for the NOLA Gold. Definitely providing help for this event. And look, what we're about to do with HBCUs in Louisiana is going to be phenomenal, helping with getting coaches over to them, being able to help with creating the framework and process for them. So it's like I said, it's about to be legit. I mentioned him before, but Marcus Woods and the Washington Youth Rugby squad, the Robertson Youth Rugby organization helped with raising some funds for us that we needed to be able to complete it, because we wanted to make sure that the teams had a great time. And sometimes it's not just about what the teams can provide to you. It really is. The tournament is about being able to showcase the players, and the players need to have the best situation of being able to do that. So I wanted to give to that. Want to give it out to another of our sponsors, USA Rugby, and really led by Amanda Young Cox. She provided a full black referee, unit. I think this might be the first time in USA Rugby history that they've had a completely people of color, and not even just people of color, specifically black people rugby staff, and they were incredible. They were so fun, so enjoyable. They reffed the games perfectly. Like, we had no issues, none. Even the one that kind of started coming up was already taken, because this tournament was all love, man. Like, I can't tell you enough, man. And then, of course, we had our athletic trainer, Gina Falgott, out of New Orleans. She just was running. I mean, we had a lot of, like, players go down here and there, but she got them back up. She got them moving. She was incredible going through the field. Like, it was you couldn't ask for a better athletic trainer. She was ready. She knows it. She's worked with the Gold. She's worked with other collegiate rugby programs. She's never been in rugby until she started working in it. And so to be able to have her and do it, like, she was, you can't ask for better. You can't ask for better. Like, they are everything in the process, because if you don't have your health, man, it's tough. And then she covered all of us so well. Then we also had Steve Guillory of Steve Guillory Photos. He took great professional photos. Get ready to see them, because he's been to every single HBCU rugby classic since we did it in 2018. And his photos not only are phenomenal, his energy there is phenomenal. I'm so thankful to be able to have such great rugby community around to be able to participate in these things. We had Anthony Moose Daniels be able to help us with the post game, the cookout music. It got a little rainy, so people just kind of had to eat and go. But man, when I'm telling you the vibes during people getting food, and then even more so the vibes while we were cleaning up, they were everything. So big shout out. Check out, and of course, he's not just a DJ, he's an artist. You guys can actually check him out on Spotify. Look for Moose Harris, and he's gotten a phenomenal album. Like, he's such a legit rapper. I can't even say anything to that. Like, it's just, there's nothing to add except for he's just phenomenal. He's just phenomenal. And, of course, big special thanks, Baton Rouge Men's Rugby, allowing us to be able to use the pads and flags on the field. Big thanks to Breck for allowing us to use the field in a short notice. We only had about a week and a half to be able to schedule that field, and it usually takes a month. So big thanks to them on being able to allow us. That's also part of Baton Rouge Youth Rugby, being able to help front us in terms of allowing us to use the field. And that was big. And also want to thank our volunteers. I know this is long. You know, I'm not apologizing for it. You know, this is long. So our volunteers, Chisa Ebelu and his girlfriend Albie, helped on so much. And Chisa is my brother. You can see his podcast. His company Pedal also helps with sponsoring this, so it can work in both aspects. But again, you can't do events like this by yourself, and I have to catch my own ego again to never allow this to happen where you do it or try to organize the bulk of it. You can break it down, and now that we have this event in place, it's so good. So technically, I didn't really do it myself, as I'm explaining. There were so many people, and a lot of these people came at the last second. Like, they came at the last second. When I tell you, I only was able to work on this for about a month and a half, because we started it in February. Because we didn't know I didn't know what COVID was going to do. It was very difficult to see what was going to happen. But I worked on it for a month and a half. Basically, I worked on it for part of February. Then I had to go to Brazil for a month, and I couldn't really work on it the way that I wanted to. And then it was basically all of April to do it. And we're just moving, and people just popping up and providing help and giving love. Like, it was awesome. It was awesome. Also want to thank Eric Twig Chris, who was our commentator, came on, did the full day of rugby, man. And look, I don't know if you guys understand. It's a lot. There was a lot of games that we'd had. We made 3 rounds of basically 5 teams playing per. So we had almost 15 games going on at any one point in time, with very little rest in between. So to be able to keep pushing, and he kept going, man, it was, I couldn't ask for more. Big thanks to my guy Jordan Francis. He helped us with the scoreboard and getting the games up and getting it up to streaming. And it was tough being able to get that thing up. You know, there's always a little bit of difficulties, especially whenever you're doing things with hotspots. So Big thanks to him getting it up and being able to control the scoreboard and keep the people who weren't there at the field up to date. So it helped so significantly. And I don't have specific names because it kind of popped up and I didn't get a chance to write it down. But I have to thank the students of Scotlandville High School. We got about 5 volunteers that came for the early part of the day. They actually helped with the social media early on for both the HBCU Rugby Classic Instagram page as well as the GiftTime Rugby Instagram page. And again, like I always say, man, you get them young. You let people who are in high school and middle school, whatever, let the I don't want to say young folk or youth, but yet let the next generation show you that they are capable, and they came capable. I mean, they helped us with messaging, a lot of knick-knack stuff here and there, particularly helped with, like I said, the social media, and was able to give at least an aspect while we were working on trying to get the live set up. So it really satisfied a lot of people's curiosity about what was going on. Great photos out of it. You cannot be mad about that. So big thanks. Anita Gilmore was and Vice Principal Vice Principal Jackson being able to help and bring the volunteers in. So big thanks to them on that, because everything helped on it. And then, of course, want to thank the referees. Definitely want to thank the referees. Elvia Saulnier, Justin Hale, Jamal Jones, Cheeky Outlaw, and Rebecca Portlock. These were our 5 refs for this entire match. And like I said earlier, they were phenomenal. They were amazing. They did a great job, controlled the event so well, and what can you say? When you have great refs, the games go great, players play well, everybody's smooth, people are happy. Like we're going, And as an event director and organizer on it, it's one less thing that you have to think about because there's so much that's going on at the same time. So I thank them so much for making it up, for being able to basically do the thing and just represent for the referees union altogether. And like I said earlier, big thanks to Amanda Young-Cox, Jamie McGregor, and all of USA Rugby for being able to provide the referees for this and the insurance to be able to do this. And then last but absolutely not least, want to thank our vendors, Bailey of Posh Popcorn, a team that Teresa brought, but I already knew. But it is these 2 young, really amazing black girls who created this incredible popcorn, and they have been just building up their entrepreneurship. You definitely go check them out on Instagram. You can find their website, poshpop.store online, or poshpop on Instagram. And they just a phenomenal family. Patty LaDuff and Ebony McAllister. Just they raised great grandkids and kids respectively. And I just amazing. You love to see young business development, and I'm happy that the HBCU Rugby Classic was a platform for them to be able to take advantage of that situation. And then, of course, my guy, James Lagon of Hayward Dental Products. He's the guy that actually made this. Who made this? The plaque that's always stays behind, and another one. Made phenomenal products to be able to see. He even was the one who created our HBCU Rugby Classic labeled toothbrushes as well, that you guys can find under Rugby Outlet Mall store. Find at rugbyoutletmall.com. He was such an amazing support, provided a ball, provided just great look at being a black rugby player back in the early 90s, playing at LSU. He only played for a short period of time, for a year or so, but he even claimed from that mindset, he'd helped him get through dental school and even pushed him through into other products. So again, whenever you have the past, you have the future, you have the beginning and the end, the middle. Like, it was a complete rugby event. And this was as great as any that could be. And next year, when I tell you it's going to be even more amazing, it's going to be bigger, it's going to be more complete, because we're not doing it in a month and a half, 3 months, however you want to call it. It is going to be a full event, and the people that we have coming are going to be coming back, and there's going to be even more. And it's just you this is what you love to see. This is everything. This is everything. So I want to thank them. Big thanks to all of them, and y'all, I love it. So I'm not going to hold you guys back. We have our guest is Carille Guthrie. She is a HBCU alumni. She is a traveler. She has been part of everything. She's an engineer. She's the logistics. She is, and she actually created the James G. Robertson and Clive Sullivan Rugby Foundation, which was created to be able to help develop rugby into HBCUs. So being able to go in and find ways to be able to provide funding and support in ways so that we can be able to advance the progression of that for more and more situations. The HBCU Rugby Classic, we provide a platform hoping to be able to work and develop coaches. They help to be able to create the programs. Got people like Roots who help to create opportunity and provide more breadth and spread. Like it's an entirely engaging community that's developing more and more, and it's happening on all levels. Pacific Islands, Asia and Pacific Islands, his Latin and Hispanic. Like we're going to Caribbean, and we're going through the African nations. It's just everything is coming through, and it's so phenomenal what this next new era of rugby is going to be like. So you guys have been waiting, but here it is. Carille Guthrie, the James G. Roberts and Clive Sullivan Rugby Foundation. Check it out.
Grow rugby, 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 grow rugby.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of Grow Rugby. My name is GiftTime Ebola, and we got another very super super important I guess there we go. That goes. And a perfect P. I gotta say, that also sounded wrong, but it was supposed to be better than what it comes off as. a traveler, an engineer, a humanitarian. Yo, she is just like, when you talk about the core of what it means to be a rugby person, Carille Guthrie. Carille, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having me. Quite the intro.
Oh, you know, we go big. Even if I don't see it all the way through, it's like, look, we're gonna get there. All it is the ends of the means. Oh, so Carille, I gotta tell you. So obviously we've known each other at least through the BIPOC group, and I always appreciated that you were one of the few people who actually took the time to watch our documentary. I super appreciated that in the real way. Yes, it meant a lot. Like I don't think you realize how much it meant. But even more so, what was interesting was we have a mutual friend in Grant Cole who shouted your praises. He was like, Gift, if you haven't talked to Carille yet, like I'm gonna need you to go step aside from doing this whole show, because she's the person that you talk to. Like she's out here doing medical humanitarian work. She's out here doing the rugby. Look, I saw you were doing medical humanitarian work. All right, we gonna call it. We're not gonna be humble here today. All right.
Well, to be specific, the logistics side of it. I don't just dabble in medicine in my spare time.
Look. You know what that means? That means it couldn't have even happened unless she was in there. All right. There's no movement happening. So, but True. No, but you've been such an impactful person in in the world, and just even in rugby itself, and how much you've been able to do. So it is legitimately an honor to be able to just have this one-on-one discussion and talk to you and get to know who you are, and even more from that.
Again, thanks for having me, and I hope we can, get some good dialogue going, because I've had some experiences. So yeah, ask away.
Absolutely. And of course, we still got some HBCU stuff too. I didn't put that in, but we added all the way in through it. So, Carille, I always ask, because every superhero has an origin story, how did you first get started with rugby?
Okay. My first university was Tufts University in Boston, and I played ran track in high school, and then continued to run in college, but it wasn't going so well. I was also trying to double major in chemical engineering and French, and I would not recommend that combination, FYI. So I ended up quitting the track team, and I saw a flyer in the cafeteria for the rugby team, and I didn't really know what it was, but I knew there was some tackling involved, and it sounded like something I could get into, and that was in 1999. So I've been involved ever since.
So so for you, sports has always been a central component of your life. So to be able to even play at the collegiate level stands a lot to where you were as a person, and then athletically. Is this something that was in your family, that both athletics and education is very prominent in your guys' effort? Because chemi engineering is a beast.
All 3 semesters of that were horrible. My mother she has a PhD, and so growing up, she was a college professor, and then she moved to becoming a dean of arts and sciences at various different HBCUs. And my father, he played sports. He's still got his newspaper clippings from what is the Gary Herald or something from 1970. He played baseball and football, and then went on to play basketball, and went on to play basketball in college. So.
Oh man, so it really has been. So I always find that interesting, because you have something that's very similar to me. Like I have. My dad was a PhD. He's an engineer as well, and basically was engineer and became dean and stuff like that. So you always have this ability of having been in the college system constantly. I feel like whenever you're in that college program, you get used to this level of international diversity that comes in, because you're completely interacted within it. And for you, especially being within the HBCUs, getting it from, and people underestimate how many internationals come through the HBCU programs. For you, was there always this innate attraction to international understanding or international travel because of the fact of the people that you went through with your mom?
I would say actually no. With my parents' co-workers and colleagues, I wouldn't say it was diverse at all. Actually, we were just on the south side of Chicago, but we did every single year for spring break or maybe a winter break, summer break. We always travel internationally. So Jamaica, Bahamas, stuff like that. And then my junior year of high school, my French class went to Paris. And after that, I got to explore by myself, sold. This is what I want to do. Let's travel. So that was really
yep. This is the lock-in that I needed right now. This is what I was expecting for everything at this point.
Yeah. And now I'm like, going to France, boring.
this so basic. What's going on with you guys? All right,
I've been 20 times. Gosh.
Oh man, I love it. So okay, so you were at Tufts. You're doing track, you're doing engineering, and you step down.
Wait, point of note: architecture.
Architecture. Oh.
Yes, not engineering, architecture.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Still crazy. Still crazy in the combo. Like it reduced nothing. You could have been like, oh man, I went for med school and then I did nursing. I'd be like, no, you're still out of your mind. Like that's the work requirements here. but no, like so you're doing architecture and you find your way onto the rugby team at Tufts.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes. Well, so it was a club team, and so at that point I was kind of done. I was pushing myself to a level that I had not before, and it wasn't working well. So
in terms of just like the balance between school and athletics, or just
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Because so when you major in French, you have French lab, language lab, and then when you're in chemical engineering, sorry, it was engineering, it turned into architecture before, my bad. But in chemical engineering, you have chemistry lab, and so each of those chemistry lab is until you get the experiment right. So it could be an hour, it could be 3. So between that and just the rest of my classes, it was pretty bad, and I got a little depressed. And
a lot that's on the system happening at the same time, and when you put that much pressure, like the body's gonna react.
Right. I wasn't excelling like I had in high school. I expected more of myself, and it got to a certain point where mom swooped in and she was like, we got to change this. It's not good for you. And if it's not working, then let's stop everything else. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that was an option. So that was one of my first life lessons as an adult, that you can try and do your hardest, but if you don't succeed, then that's a lesson as well. And you don't continue to fail to total failure. So the failure is part of the lesson. Okay, now we pivot. So what do we do next? And so that's when I switched from chemical engineering to architecture, changed schools, went to Howard, and yeah, moved on.
No. So, and so with that connection, so there's a couple things that we have here, obviously you're having life change moment in terms of what you wanted to do, because I know anybody who chooses chemi engineering, there's the monetary advantage because they have the highest starting pay for almost any engineer, but I think there's also like a genuine like love for biology and science that goes along with it. So for you to go into that, I have to assume that there was already in this a pretty preeminent appreciation for analysis in depth, correct?
Yeah, chemistry was my favorite class in high school, and I don't know, I guess I just threw French in there because I've been taking French since 5th grade or whatever. Why not top it on?
It was a default language. Like we needed a default class, and it was like, all right, I got this one.
And then, so because I had AP chemistry, AP French, and AP calculus. So the calculus and chemistry developed into the chemi. Yeah. So it made sense to a 17-year-old at the time.
Of course. Hey, look, I was an industrial engineer who switched over to international studies halfway through college because I realized, I don't study well. And so I do not have the patience for it. It just didn't work out. So I need something that I feel like my social aspect can kick in a lot more than just pure analysis, because we gonna fight.
There's nothing wrong with changing majors, kids.
Absolutely
do it.
Not.
Like it, just do it. Change.
Absolutely. Take the experience.
Yeah.
We already dropping gems. I'm here for this. So the second thing in that is the factor that obviously you moved from track to rugby, but you also went over to Howard. So you're still in this DMV area, but isn't Tufts a little bit of a distance from where Howard is?
Yeah, so I did 3 semesters at Tufts, and then mom swooped in, and so for that 4th semester of my sophomore year, I went back to Chicago. And actually, my mom was the one who said, "Hey, you took that one architecture class in high school. Here's your new major." And I was like, "Okay, I'm done. Yeah, whatever. I don't care." So I switched to architecture, but the school I was going to, Illinois Institute of Technology, was maybe 3 miles from my high school. So I kept going back to high school, and I was like the assistant coach for the track team. And of course I had just graduated, so I still knew the kids there. And, I'm making spreadsheets for people's times and splits and stuff. Like, I was all into it. And it clicked, and I was like, oh, I need to be having a college experience, not, a high school experience.
You don't want to be that person who's always like, yeah, man, I remember back in the day, remember last year, yo, we were doing this, yo, let's go. You're just basically the fifth year senior in high school.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's when I decided to apply to Howard and move to DC.
Okay. So how did that impact the way that you were seeing rugby? Because it sounds like you got into rugby literally at the earliest point, but at the tail end of your time over at Tufts.
Yes, exactly. And so then the rugby team really helped me get through, because I was like, guys, I'm not doing so well. I think I want to leave. And they were my community, and they helped me through that. They threw a going away party, made me a big card and everything. It was super sweet.
How long were you with them? Of the 3 semesters, was it just like 1 or 2 semesters? Like
for months.
I feel like you're really underwhelming, like understating the time period that just happened here. Because I'm like, wait, we threw a whole going away party. Weren't you there for like 4 months?
Have you not met rugby people? Come on.
Exactly.
We're an immediate part of the family, and then no, you're leaving. No, this is the worst day ever.
So it was like 1-2 semesters that you were with them, or 1 semester that you were with them.
1 semester. Yeah, I started in '99, which was my first semester, sophomore year. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I had never thought about that, but I was probably on the team for maybe 2 months. I don't know.
You make an impact. Because it's the 2 parts. It's the rugby people bring you over, but it's also getting used to the rugby culture itself. So for you, like obviously you're in Chicago, and I didn't even ask, so I'm gonna say you're from Chicago, born and raised in Chicago originally, and then moved around. Okay.
Yep.
So in that pattern, like, what was it that kept you attached to rugby coming off of track, and especially being athletically exhausted and continuing on after track and then entering into this rugby club? What connected you in so hard?
Well, that was 20 years ago. Let me search the
Are we going all the way in? All right, we're going all the way in. I just recall being distressed and feeling like the friends that I had from freshman year were kind of just like, meh, that's your problem. Whereas the people on the rugby team were like, how can we help? I just felt that they cared a lot more about me, and even some of the Black students at Tufts, I got the sense that they also wanted to leave, like they weren't having the best experience as well. But it was tough, so they're gonna stick it out, and perhaps because of the double major, I mean, I was doing way worse than they were. Maybe if I had only picked 1 major, I would have stayed. But here we are today, so it all worked out. I mean, history speaks for itself from that. So I don't feel like you made an incorrect decision on.
Sorry, I just gotta turn on my air conditioning. It's only 100 degrees
here.
All
right, look, we keep it natural on here. All right, we're just like, look, we let it all play out. People need to know the realness that's going on here. All right, it gets hot in this piece. All right, there's so much fire being happening here now.
Oh Oh goodness. Oh, reel it in.
All right. Oh, this is too much needed to be. Oh my goodness. But okay, all right. So you going through. You met the rugby people. These people have brought you into the fold itself. So for you, like, obviously the culture caught you, or at least the community aspect caught you. But for the game aspect, all right, you're a track person. You don't get touched. You're a sprinter, so you're a sprinter, right? You're at least fast. But what was it like for you? Now taking the ball, now taking the hits. Like, what was that leading up moment? Especially because, again, brand new at the sport and just jumping in.
Well, I did at one point in high school mention that I wanted to play football. And my dad was like, absolutely not. One, because you don't like football, which is true.
Small details, that I give no shits about whatsoever.
Why are they always stopping? But
Dad looking over at his paper clippings over here. He's like, no, you're not gonna disrespect this name over here.
We did at my high school, Chicago Public School, we did have a girl on the team. She was the kicker, and that was in '98. So, progressive.
There we go. Setting standard. All right, Vanderbilt, you thought you were the one? Nah, it was going down in the high school. All right.
Should probably make a move. So I was always interested in the full contact aspect. Yes, it is probably was a bit too rough with the helmets and the head first type stuff. So rugby was the perfect
middle ground.
Rugby was the perfect the perfect version of full contact for me. And I dove into it almost literally. And as soon as I got to Howard, I found a team, played for the local club team. And it was amazing because the forwards coach was a member of the USA Women's World Cup winning team from 1992, Kristen McFerrin. We also had phenomenal Eagles on the team. Becky, Kim, who else? Tone. The team at the time, the Maryland Stingers, were a phenomenal team. We played against Phaedra. It was awesome.
Hold on, wait. I know you didn't just like say big things in quiet ways. Like, you had one of the USA Rugby Women's World Cup winners. Not just a team member, like World Cup winners, the earliest. What are the earliest World Cup winners? And just
the first World Cup.
She was just my coach. She was on the team. Yeah, no big deal. Yeah,
She was my mentor.
Doesn't everybody have World Cup winners as their mentors? No, but that's super dope. Like, whenever you have somebody like that, what was it for you, like, being able to have that? Obviously, the experience is different in the moment because rugby, in that sense, has still not been developed into that way as it is maybe a little bit more now, because we're still understanding rugby's existence, or even knowing if it did exist. So for you, knowing that she had been in a World Cup and been a World Cup winner, how was her teaching of experiences and learning? How did that impact for you? Like, how you were able to see the game and develop in it?
Well, to be honest, the internet had just been invented, right? So
thank you, Albert. You didn't win the election, but you gave us the internet.
So I didn't know her background at the time, but I knew that she was a phenomenal coach. And she saw something in me and always pushed me to be better, to go harder, train harder. And yeah, she was instrumental in shaping who I was as a player. Not to mention the Eagles that were on the team at the time as well. We had our 10, Kim. She would be, come here, stand here, do this, go tackle her. Like, she would place me around the field. And at the time, like, there was really no way to watch rugby, right? So how do you learn it when you can't ever see it other than when you're on the pitch in the middle of a game? So with Kim directing me, I really excelled. So.
Yo, that's so awesome. So, you know, you have this, and, you know, I've talked with like Comagandi Fishman, who played relatively in that same period of time, that 90, I started playing even around that time. And, you know, I always ask, like, seeing where women's rugby is now versus when it was then, you know, we're talking about a pretty monumental change, but for you, like, being able to be in the game at that point, like, what was your perspective on it? Like, how did it feel with it? Did it feel still similar to now, or do you feel like not much has changed, or do you feel like it was so much more isolated then, and now you have something like, what was that travel, what was that aspect like for you?
Yeah, I think it was definitely more isolated. I mean, luckily we were on the East Coast, right? So we could play Beantown, and we could play New York, and we could play the Philadelphia team had just started. So, you know, at least we didn't have to drive super far to play. And again, I was one of the youngest on the team, playing with all of these super experienced players, and it felt like a privilege. It was fun, it was hard, but it was always worth it in the end. And so I get jealous now when I see, you know, all these posts for combines, and we've got scouts here, and it was impossible to become an Eagle before, you know, like the coach had to be a family member. Like, I don't know how to get on the team back then, but because you had to go through all of the regionals, the PRUs or the Mid-Atlantic region teams, you know, the select teams, and climb the ladder. So it was super hard back then, and now, so luckily, there are a lot more avenues for the kids nowadays.
Awesome. You know, so like now you're in this, and here's another interesting component that I want to know, because it's one side that I don't think people usually grasp, especially as we develop with HBCUs. You know, you're over at Howard. You know, we're talking about HBCU, a preeminent HBCU, one of the, you know, the other ones. There's the other HU, as I understand that you guys have, but DJ Envy from the Breakfast Club is out there just somehow taking a glance, like, what?
That's a whole nother discussion.
But in the time you're over at Howard, predominantly black school, and you've been in this black environment so much, and then you enter into rugby, which is, let's call it what it is. It's a predominantly white environment and everything. And of course we have it, but whenever you're juxtaposing between the two cultures, did you feel like, how did you feel like it was in terms of comparison, like the thought of bringing more people from Howard to come play with you guys, or anything like that, or any friends that you met there? Did you feel like there was a capability of a connection in that moment?
Well, so there was, our Maryland team, I thought, was very diverse. We didn't have any people of any Asian backgrounds on the team, ethnically, but there was me, Shelly, Todd, Becky, 6. I think there were 6 black women on the team at the time. So I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot, especially 99, 2000 is particularly, yeah. Yeah, that was a lot. So in that regard, I felt like I had, women I could talk to and look up to and real mentors as well. And then because I was in architecture, I really only knew the other people in architecture, and like you don't play sports, you don't pledge, you don't do anything when you're in architecture.
You better get to drawing, and drawing, modeling, and
the model's the worst. I like to say I graduated with a degree in cutting and pasting.
Let's go. My fiance is an architect, so like she shows me all the models of her designs that she does, and she went all the way in. I'm just like, man, I'll give you guys props. Like in the surface, it always feels like it's you guys just doing arts and craft, but then you're like, no, you guys are like accurately like this is you got to cut to the exact relative measurements of everything.
Yeah. Listen, you're like, oh no, this will just take like 2 hours. And like 3 days later, you're like,
what's going on? Why is this not coming out? I promise it was supposed to be equal. What's happening?
Yeah, it's rough. So, but architecture is so much fun.
No stress. No stress whatsoever. So it's so with all this, you found your space in architecture, you found your space in sports. So and it's, again, it seems like these are two areas that have been pretty prominent in your life moving forward. So with these in mind, like, how did you start to adjust your worldview, and essentially how did it start getting you to the point of traveling out in an adult way, not in a classwork and family vacation way, but really being able to take advantage of it from a long-term perspective?
Well, I will shout out to Howard, because I did study abroad while I was there. I studied at University of Sydney.
Did you do any rugby out there did you do any rugby while you were in Australia?
I tried. I went to the practice, of course. I just wasn't feeling it from the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, sadly. I went to one game with them. We carpooled there, and I was sitting in the car with 3 other women, and they didn't really talk to me other than, hey, what's your name? Cool. And I was just like, oh, okay. Well, I guess we're not friendly. Moving on.
See, Australia, Sydney. I'm gonna go specific because I don't know about the rest, but I'm gonna be like, look, Sydney, Australia, you guys got too cocky with your capital. All right, you think you're the Capitals, and it's like, Americans just trying to enter into our game, so we're not gonna give you any clout. You could have had a great shout out at this moment. There could have been a legendary moment. You lost it. All right, you lost it. Okay. But but aside from that, so Howard giving you the international, a little bit of international, but and obviously I failed in the rugby side, but everything else moving forward, how did that impact? Because it leading you to Malawi and these works in Uganda, stuff like
yeah. So working in construction is pretty time consuming, right? It's basically you have to work 6 a.m. and then I usually found myself leaving at 6 p.m. like every single day. And so I got to the point where I needed an activity to get me off of my desk at the end of the day. So I kind of fell off of rugby because, again, if I'm at work at 6 a.m., then this 7 p.m. practice is too much. But it got to a point where one day I was driving to work on my motorcycle, and I had a motorcycle.
Again, low key, big things in understated ways. Not only was I an architect and a rugby player, track star, engineer. Man, I just randomly was just doing biking, no biggie, because I'm an adventurer.
Well, I can get to work in the morning if I don't ride my motorcycle.
Let's go. All right, Indiana Jones. All right.
So I'm riding my motorcycle to work in the morning, lamenting like, oh, another day with, my boss at the time. I was like, ah. And got in an accident, T-boned a car, totaled the bike, but I had $100,000 worth of insurance coverage. So I had a lawyer. I had to give him $33,000, and then I got $67,000, and I bought a one-way ticket to Singapore, quit my job, and went backpacking around the world.
Nice. Okay. So one, we're also going to give credit to apparently amazing genes that your body did not turn to dust from that T-bone, because that 100,000 is supposed to go to medical bills, and clearly you were not needing it. So we're not gonna swipe past that little
pain suffering gift.
Exactly, man. Agony. I need to go fly. Man. I give credit. All right. We're gonna be like, yo, rugby's built up the body for so much impact that it was just like, yo, what is this car? All right, what do you guys? Simple. All right, yo.
Oh, well, okay. I did break my wrist. I broke my wrist and my toe, and I got road rash on my knees. But I had a helmet and a jacket. And
that's good. So, we need to make sure the government wasn't gonna have a reason to come and experiment on you. Your body still had to give it like a little bit. All right. They're gonna be like, yo, Unbreakable just came out. Like, maybe this is more.
It was around that time.
Hey guys, I just want to take a quick moment to talk to you about the Rugby Outlet Mall. Now, I know you guys have heard me talk about this many times in the show before, typically in the intro, but I wanted to really make sure to get your focus on it, because the Rugby Outlet Mall is not just the commerce hub for GiftTime Rugby, but it is an area where we want to be able to create the movement and the symbolic elements that add to the movement. The Rugby Outlet Mall is here so that we can have something that not just to have for the field, but more importantly to be able to have as a regular lifestyle. Because as you know, rugby is not just a sport. It's a whole way of life. It is a movement. And we have everything moving from cultural to your pop culture items like our Rugby Zon shirts and sweaters, as well as representing for the culture as we continue to develop the HBCU Rugby Classic. And we want to continue to support these things because it only grows the sport overall. We are continually growing to be able to make sure that we're connecting with you on a personal level as well as a rugby love. And for you guys that are listening to the podcast and listening to this show, want to let you know that you are going to get 20% off all gear that is under the category of GiftTime Rugby Network and the HBCU Rugby Classic. That is basically the entire store. And all you need to use is promo code GREAUX, GREAUX Rugby. And with that, you guys will get 20% off any clothing that is in the store as of right now. And of course, we're always building up more and more each time, but we want to make sure that you are able to symbolize your rugby faithfulness to the rest of the world and let them know that there is an opportunity to be able to develop, to grow, and to get better each and every time in this sport. So guys, I hope you guys check it out. Definitely go, and you guys can go to www.rugbyoutletmall.com. That is rugbyoutletmall.com. Guys, you're not going to want to miss one bit of this. Now let's get back to it. So you took it out and you went to Singapore, which I adore Singapore. Though I will say this, I love Singapore people. I did, whenever I first went there, and obviously, from the doc, I thought the city was overrated based off of what was being told about it, aka the cleanest city in the world. So clean that if you spit gum on the ground, you'll get arrested, right?
Yes.
Yeah. In 2019, I do not feel like it holds up to that. All right. I felt like I feel Tokyo, Japan is by far the cleanest city in the world. Singapore was nice, but it was very, very much more New York than I felt like. I actually felt like
New York. You say New York, I'm thinking like
No, not New York in like in shadiness and all that. I mean like New York in terms of like structure and setup. Like it's like London, it's like New York, but I'm not gonna go clean. I found places where I was like, I'm questioning you. Like you guys are like normal people dirty. Like I was looking for like out of this world clean. Like the streets literally have to sparkle at this point. We're going for that. Spit out gum and get arrested clean. Look, I have high expectations, you know, but I did enjoy it. Like it really was a lot more like being in London and New York in Asia than it felt like actually being like Kuala Lumpur, as opposed to being like, it feels like I'm in Asia per se. If that makes sense. And I'm in Southeast Asia. So
it's got a Western.
That's it. A little bit more of a Western
feel to it. Yeah.
So, but as it is with Southeast Asia, because that place, it's so easy to fall in love with it. Like, what was that backpacking trip? Because again, I feel like the adult experience of travel far surpasses any structured or family experience that comes prior to it. So, for you, like, what was it that ended up? What did it come to it, and where were you going whenever you did that backpack?
I didn't have many plans. I had
the best.
I had 4 things planned. I had 2 volunteer. Was it 4, 3, 2? Anyway, I had 2 volunteer vacations planned in Thailand. So I had my arrival in Singapore and then the date that I needed to be at that first vacation in Thailand. And so how I got there and how long it took was, up to me. So that was on the fly. And I also had a work visa, a holiday work visa for New Zealand, which this was the case, pandemic age, I don't know what the visa is now, but the work holiday visa was for anyone under 30 from the US without a criminal record. That's all you need to qualify for the visa. So I had that visa in hand and the 2 volunteer vacations. And so I knew, when I was leaving Thailand to go to New Zealand, and that was about it. So no real plans. My plan was to travel until I ran out of money, which I did.
That's legit. I like that. It again, back to the adventure, and my rugby Indiana Jones right here. This is
I wish I had a hat.
You didn't take it all the way through. You didn't know. If I had been there, I'd have been your PR person and been like, "Yo, come on, let's hook it up."
Snakes! I hate snakes. Anyway,
you go to Thailand. But so for the volunteer vacations, what was it that you were doing there as well?
The first one was in the south of Thailand, and I was at an animal rescue. So they mostly had gibbons, which are apes, not monkeys. And they had mackays, which are monkeys, and the gibbons had been rescued from the tourist trade because that's a thing. You take a picture with the gibbon, it's so cute and fuzzy, and then once they get older, they're aggressive and they start snatching stuff. Yeah, exactly. Don't need you anymore. And then the mackays were from a lab. They were rescued from some kind of science lab.
So wow. So okay. So some of that is like really real. Like, it's really interesting because in Thailand, one of the things that I've always, whenever I went there, probably the only real negative that I had with Thailand was the captured animal kind of standards.
The tigers.
Exactly. Like the zoos and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to a few zoos in my time, and I was always a mixed bag with it. But when I went to the zoos in Thailand, I was depressed. I was depressed for the animals because it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Like it felt a little down.
Yeah.
So basically the animal rescue was kind of, and what was this animal rescue? Do you remember? This is why we don't do prep beforehand, so you have these moments.
On the fly. Boom.
21-year-old memories? Yo, let's get it right.
Oh man, I think the initials were WARF, WARF, Wild Animal Rescue Foundation. I think.
Nice.
Yeah,
No
pretty sure.
I like that.
Yeah, and I was there for 6 weeks.
What was that?
And sorry.
No, continue. No, please continue.
Oh, then I moved up north and did a volunteer at a children's home for what was supposed to be 6 weeks, and then I kind of left after 4. But the kids are lovely. But it was too much.
Oh, well, okay. So this is an interesting one because when it comes to the group homes, a lot of people don't. I mean, I guess whether they know or not or care, but they're usually government run. Right. So, I remember whenever we did it with the why am I forgetting my people's name right now?
Aha! How does it feel now?
The tables have turned. Wait. With my guys over, right? With my guys over at Naksu Academy, the rugby volunteer program, we dealing with the boys' home, knowing that it's these kids that aren't like typically we think the orphans are either just dead parents or just abandoned, but some of them it really is like parents just had to drop them. The parents are still not even always necessarily that far. They're just
they just can't care for them. Yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that these kids interact is I don't know. Like I guess with the Naksu boys, they were really nice for me, but you can feel the need for emotional attachment. Like they really gravitate towards it. Maybe even to an extent that you're just like, yo, like this is a lot, but it makes sense. Whenever you're there for those 4 weeks. 4 weeks. No. All the judgment. No.
That's a long time to live with like 35 kids.
No, it really is. No. I was there for 2 days. I don't even know. We did like I can't even say a full 2 days. It might have been like 8 hours. Like I was like, oh my gosh, yo, I would love to do this, but there's a lot of love. I don't know if I have the energy for how much you guys are admitting out right now, but
exactly.
But in seeing that again, how did it continue to create your worldview? And I'm leading into something with this, obviously, but I think it's really important because all these things naturally develop in. So for you, being able to see that experience, like going into it, like coming out of it, I guess maybe better. Like how do you feel it impacted it a little bit from there?
Well, so from there, I decided that I wanted to pivot my actual job into something that was more altruistic. I wanted to be a full-time volunteer and continuously help underserved communities. And so then that's when I transitioned to Doctors Without Borders.
Okay. Now we're getting into the nitty gritty. All right. So, I got you. See? You see what we did? No.
Have you done this before? It's like you've got a plan.
Doing mind games. What? Oprah style. No.
Oprah style. I can get the Kleenex. I think
we just said send the virtual tissues. I got you. No. Okay. But with that, and then what were you doing in New Zealand with the work study? Was that going into the Doctors Without Borders, or that came afterwards?
That came afterwards. In New Zealand, I was the general manager for the Christchurch men's basketball team.
Okay. All right. Carille. All right. Carille. Weed. Carille.
is that not a normal backpacker's job? I don't know.
I know the everyday person just randomly gets into high administrative positions at one of these centerpiece towns in a country's second or third largest sport at said point in time. But hey, I don't know why you think it would be a unique situation. I don't. Little things that are not on the bio. So okay, you need to explain this one. All right. Okay.
Oh.
So you go into New Zealand. You go into from hey, I'm volunteering, backpacking. Hey, just doing normal things too. I am running a team in New Zealand. In the capital area. I know Christchurch capital area. We know it. I mean now for the
South Island.
Yeah, and in men's basketball, which New Zealand, again, we're talking 2000. This is coming into the Olympics as they're starting to enter into that.
What year? This was 2010.
2010? Okay.
Yeah.
Even more, as they are more integrated into basketball, and you're starting to see people starting to pick off into the NBA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How did this work out here? What happened?
Well, when I first got to Christchurch, I stayed at a hostel, and I was there for nearly 2 months trying to figure out, what job am I going to get. And the owners of the hostel were friends with the owners of the basketball team. So it was a husband and wife team, and so the wife was pretty much the president CEO, and the husband was the coach of the team. And they had met in the U.S. playing basketball in California, and then moved back to New Zealand. So the team was in its second year, and so they had done everything themselves in that first year. And so Amy was looking for some help in the office and just to get the logistics together. And she was like, "An American, you're hired." Yes.
So what are your credentials? Well, I was born. Anything else? I did track too. No. We already got you at board. Chicago area, so we like Michael Jordan as well too. So you just always How could you not know what's going on over here? Yo.
So that was super cool. I do recognize that. Yes, that was a really awesome job to have. I really enjoyed it. I did like the logistics for the visiting teams, got all of the stuff together for the fans, sent all the info to the league after the scores and stats and stuff, and compiled all the stuff, dealt with the sponsors. Like,
did you start getting that same kind of thrill that you had whenever you were at Tufts and you went back to your high school and you were just like, oh my gosh, I get to organize these sports teams again? Like, oh, my heart, like, where was this feeling?
Yeah, finally, yeah. I had been in construction for 4 years, and that is all about the organization of the process, right? The electrician can't go until this guy does this first and this guy does this first. So, logistics are my bread and butter. So.
Nice. No, okay, so you're compiling all these pieces, all right? You're getting these different views and perspectives. So you've gone from understanding, I can switch and change in my major. So you get this change pace, because I'm assuming you're pretty structured. Considering what I'm getting, you're a very structured person by all intents and purposes in terms of like things in organized. Maybe structure is the wrong word, but
yeah.
That you took, which
I can juggle a lot of balls, I think.
There we go. So you have this, you go into rugby, you have this expressive experience, and that you get to go, and you have with Howard, you get these people. You come over to Southeast Asia. Now you're getting to deal with the volunteer, and this now changes your perspective from just work for profit to work for purpose. And then you get New Zealand. So how did it now then take you from there to going through Africa, and then obviously now where you are with Sri Lanka, and even going into Houston for the time being? Like, there's I got questions, Carille.
How much time do we have? I don't know. All right.
This is my show. We got all the time in the world. No. I dare somebody to say break.
I feel like we're pretty entertaining, so I think the people want to know.
I'm enjoying it. I'm here for it. All right. If nobody else listens, I'm enjoying this listen. I'll go back and be like, yo, let me stand on Carille a little bit more. All right?
What was the question? No, I just. So I'm in New Zealand. My visa runs out, so I continue my backpacking. And so from Australasia, I did go to Africa, backpacked a bit through there. I was in South Africa in time for the FIFA World Cup, so that was cool. And then eventually ran out of money in Egypt, which I lament to this day because I was so close to Syria, and I'm like, I was gonna get there, and then I ran out of money, and then so that sucks. But anyway, so ran out of money, came back to the U.S., and so my mother was a professor at Texas Southern University.
Nice.
Funny story. I didn't tell my mom I was coming home, and so dad is in Chicago, mom is in Houston. I've been to Chicago. Let's go check out Houston.
Of course.
So I fly into Houston. I think I had a layover in another U.S. city, and but I don't know where my mom lives. Right? She's just moved to Houston.
I'm sorry. I know this is was back in the day of 2011, 2012. I mean, so long ago. I heard there was this crazy technology. I don't know if you knew about it. We called it a cell phone.
Yeah.
I heard that you're able to communicate with one person to the next, possibly finding information.
Like, in my head, it was gonna be like an amazing movie type surprise. I was gonna knock on the door and she's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm so excited to see you!" Right? But I just needed to get that little detail of the address in, right? So, I mean, I really wanted to surprise her, but I was like, okay, no, I need to call her because I don't know where I'm going. So in my layover, I call her and I'm like, Mom, guess what? I'll be in Houston in 3 hours. And she was like, what? I'm in Louisiana. The weekend, and she had gone to Louisiana for New Orleans for vacation. And I was like, oh, cool. No, it's fine. I'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm only a little broke, no worries. I just gotta get there, and then it's like nothing. Like, can't find stuff. What?
I'll see you when you get back. No big deal. I'll sleep on a park bench. Cool. No. So she gave me her address. She called her apartment complex. They let me in her apartment, and then because it was just NOLA, she drove right back. The next day.
I know this drive all too well.
Exactly. So, but I digress in that story. But so the real meat and potatoes is that she had just started working at Texas Southern University. And of course, she's super proud of me. So she tells all of her colleagues about me. And one of her professors said, oh, well, can she come and give a talk to my class? It was international something class. So I gave my little PowerPoint presentation on my travels. And then the professor took me out to lunch after that. And I told her that I wanted to continue to travel. And she said, well, if you do and you want to do your volunteer work as well, you should really look at Doctors Without Borders because they need more than just the medical professionals, and which I didn't know at the time. So I looked it up, and yeah, sure enough, there's a whole logistical side to Doctors Without Borders. So they hire mechanics, IT people, HR and finance, supply managers, and logisticians who do the logistics, with a wee bit of construction in there. So I applied to Doctors Without Borders, and yeah, a couple months later, I was hired, and they flew me to Kenya for 10 months for my first assignment.
Okay, so all right, so you're able to now get back into to the continent. So this is where I go the interesting components. You're traveling to all these places. How much of the rugby were you actually getting involved? Because I know it's a little bit difficult to be able to play and go, but I'm assuming there was places that you had a chance to stop. Sydney not being a typical kind of outlet, and I know clearly in Houston you played. So like, were you able to get experience of playing while you were on your backpacking journey itself?
In New Zealand, I joined the Christchurch team, and for preseason warm-ups, we're on the beach doing like jogging the dunes and stuff. And there's this one woman who's out ahead, and I can't remember, how old was I at the time? I was like 29 or something. I mean, I was pretty fit, and I was like, well, I'll just keep up with her. Right. And so I did okay. And then the next preseason training, we went to a stadium, and we started running stairs. And I tried to keep up with this same woman, and I was just like, wow, who is that? Oh, that's just the captain of the the women's national team. No big deal.
Wait, that was
Melissa Resco.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
She was the captain of the Christchurch team as well as the national team at the time.
She just a black fern. No biggie again. I only deal with champions. This is all I deal with in my life. You peons and your normal people, why are you not regularly running into world champion people? Next time on my travel, I just happened to be just like chilling with Portia Woodman one day while we were just. I met Charlie Castlick, and we were just like getting a drink. I don't even know. Yeah. I only deal with champions.
No big deal, I did once go to the bar right next to Richie McCaw in Christchurch. Richie, I played cool, so it's whatever.
All right. So and you're getting that. So, but in that, like, just seeing how it's played over in New Zealand, obviously had to have been different and taking a different look at how the game gets moved around. Obviously, right?
Yeah. It was another. Well, so. By far the coolest part was just the support of the club, right? There was a clubhouse. We got a shirt with like a little emblem on there. There was a trainer, and I was like, oh, how much is that going to cost to go see, the physical therapist? And they were like, it's free, or part of your dues or whatever. And I was like, oh.
What is this, universal health care? What? Exactly. Who ever heard of this thing?
Exactly. That's insane.
Bloody con.
Highly recommend. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was lovely playing with them, and so I only got 1 season with them because visa. But it was great, and I still talk to a lot of people on the team today. So.
All right. And were you able to do anything on the continent initially whenever you first were doing the backpacking, whenever you arrived in South Africa and made your way up to Egypt? Were you able to do any playing around that time?
So funny enough, when I was in Kenya, I did end up doing another volunteer vacation. So I was doing like construction on an elementary school. Well, I should say rehabilitation on an elementary school. And I was in a town called Nakuru. And they had a rugby team, but they didn't have women's. So I just went out to check out the men's team, and they were in season, and so they would travel to other cities to play. And somehow I ended up being like the MC for the tournament when it came to Nakuru. Which was horrible because I couldn't pronounce anybody's name. And I was like, ah.
Oh my goodness!
I had a cool accent, right? Yeah. Oh yes, I embedded myself in the Nakuru rugby community, so that was pretty cool. And then when I went back to Kenya with Doctors Without Borders, I was still in touch with some of them, called them up. And so I was in a different town. So there was no rugby in the smaller town that I was working in, but I did switch to Nairobi. And so then I got to go and see some games. I still didn't play, but at least I could watch games.
There's still that little bit of a tap into the community there.
Yeah,
so from there, going into Kenya for Doctors Without Borders, you ended up in Uganda for the Ebola crisis, right?
I was Liberia. Yeah. So I did, in total, I did 7 different assignments with Doctors Without Borders. Here we go with the memory. Kenya, Laos, Kyrgyzstan, Liberia, Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Sierra Leone.
Nice.
I did it.
Let's go. Let's go. Well, I was gonna say the 20-year-old memory, but now we're cutting it into the 5 and 6 years.
It's still very hard to remember. Okay, so
I mean, look, whenever you have so many random experiences with all these champions and all this awesomeness, like I get how it can all start to just like start running together.
I'm trying. So yes, I was in Liberia working in an Ebola treatment center for 6 weeks.
So what was that? Because obviously we know from Ebola obviously is known in 2 ways. It's either known from the movie experience or it's known about the crisis experience that we were worried. So in being in that, and obviously though you're not medical, you were still on the scene even as logistics. What was that like in real life? Was it you know what, I'm gonna just say it. Was it like seeing people's whole bodies blow up with blood like it seemed from the movie experience from Breakout or whatever that movie was called? Outbreak. Oh.
So by that time, I had learned in my career with Doctors Without Borders, I had learned not to go into the medical rooms, right? Because that's just trauma and PTSD that you don't want. So the patients that I saw were okay, but yes, Ebola does cause you to bleed from all of your orifices in the end. You can even get hysteria at one point and like super strength. And so there is an issue, with people who are like, they get delirious and they're like, I gotta break out of here. And they try to like run out of like it's bad. Ebola is bad. And if you think you've washed your hands a lot during COVID, like Ebola is like chlorine baths, and just like,
I don't even need skin anymore. Like we're just renewing skin at this point. That's how sanitized.
Exactly. The colors in your clothes just start to run. It's whatever,
Stay young for life. All right, we're just renewing it. So I happened to, when I got there, one of my tasks was cemetery design, because people were dying so quickly that they are just burying them. And then it got to a point where, there's too many graves just like in the front of the, there was no organization, right? So they couldn't get to the back. And so, I'm like designing paths and stuff. I'm just like, oh, this is the worst. But I was there for kind of the down trend of the virus in that area. So that was a good thing. People were starting to recover, and also the health promotion was there. So people knew that, if your relative gets sick, you need to call for help. Like, don't try and take care of them, because that's how you get it. So that's key. And
Yeah, I mean, you just have to stay vigilant. The whole 6 weeks you're there, from day one, you never touch anybody. There's no handshakes. There's no sharing of utensils or cups or anything. In fact, so much so that like when I had to fly back to France to do my debriefing for the assignment, and you know the French do the kiss thing, and I was like, get away from me, you know, like don't touch me.
Like, no, why does it sound like you're just coming out of prison? I mean, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, come in.
I mean, it's kind of a prison, but.
True story. Yeah, hey, true story. You know, who needs guards whenever you got natural viral dangers?
Yes. But they also one of the designs of the treatment center is to alleviate the stigma of the virus, because yes, it is bad, but they still do want people to come and visit their relatives. So we just set up fencing, and it's like a 6 foot apart fencing, and so you can bring food to your relatives, or I don't know, a phone or whatever, but whatever goes inside can't come back out. So yeah, it's going. But yeah, we encourage people to come and visit, and so I mean, yeah, there were people infected who, you know, I said hi to daily, but they were the people who were recovering or were feeling well that day.
Hey everybody, this is just the Break Train sending out a personal little video diary to all you people out there, where I am going to document me riding most of the way between Singapore and Tokyo for the 2019 Rugby World Cup. Number one is because as part of my business I do Rugby Lovers Guide to Asia. Number two is I want to bring a lot of exposure to the rugby clubs and the rugby NGOs and charities. Also on a personal level, I just want to break the funk I've kind of felt I've been into for the last 10 years.
So for the next 12 months, I poured myself into this Singapore to Tokyo campaign, but it still wasn't enough. I needed help, and it came from Louisiana.
We in Singapore, baby!
Gift from GiftTime Rugby USA is a extroverted tour de force.
Say hi to my people out there.
Which makes up for my social shortcomings.
This place is unbelievable. No! It's not just it's like
what's he supposed to do?
Morons, a bunch of morons.
Guys, picture with me. Picture. Australian. G'day, mate. You can use my phone. But what unites us is a hunger for adventure.
Off to KL, Kuala Lumpur. Yeah! Woo!
Gift, where are we?
We're in
Mount Fuji, baby!
Our love of Asian rugby culture.
1, 2, 3, center!
Rugby is starting to develop here in Cambodia for women as well.
Valkyries, the mighty Valkyries!
And allows us to overcome incredible obstacles.
It's just got so thick. It's just so thick here. Now it's pouring down rain again.
But coming to this Thai-Cambodia border has renewed all the aggression.
So the whole thing's gone buggered. I got hit.
What?
I got tail-ended by a motorbike. I can just feel that knee, that ankle just going in all the wrong directions under the weight of my body. But that doesn't compare to the pain of failure.
I'm dying. Oh, I'm dying.
And that's what I've been worried about this whole time. We're out here, we're running out of energy, we're running out of money, and we're feeling isolated. And yet at that critical moment, friends, family, sometimes complete strangers come on board. Before you know it, we're back in the game. Tokyo, here we come!
Making a comeback. 4 weeks, 2,300 miles, 5 countries.
After all the trials and tribulations, this ride had become deeply personal. All that mattered now was getting to that Rugby World Cup game in Tokyo.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Be easy.
go check out redearthfilms.vhx.tv to get your copy of Singapore to Tokyo any way we can. That's redearthfilms.vhx.tv. Right. No, so that's interesting because again, nobody know. A lot of people are still learning about the continent in Africa, and even though this isn't exactly like the aspect where it's like, this is what we're trying to dispose the stereotype, because I mean we're talking about diseases there, but the point that we're making that though is that you're getting I'm assuming that you have a lot more intro and understanding of the people in the areas now as it began to develop, even in this traumatic situation as you travel. I always ask this, and it was something that kicked into me when I was able to start traveling as an adult, aka not with family, not structured per se. And so this is like 2016 I started. So when I started traveling around the world, or started my international excursions, I started kind of figuring out that one, as cliche as it is to say, people are very similar across the board. Like I feel like your personality types basically are the same in different arenas, right? And then the only thing that you now get is like a cultural characteristic of maybe the country. So one thing I stopped doing was, best and worst, that concept. This country is the best, this country is the worst. No longer exists in my plane, right? Now it goes to this country just works to this personality types versus this country works to this personality types. So like I'll say like US, where people will go like, oh man, if you go to best, it's like, no, US isn't the best. You have the characteristic is high ceiling, low floor, figure something out in between there, and we'll try and give you your range here. Whereas a place like Japan might be high floor, lower ceiling, but we're gonna give you stability. So for you, if you're here about structure, then hey, Japan works because you'll be able to work, you'll be able to do things, but you don't have to. Your ambition might not be as tickled in Japan as it might be in the U.S. versus like Thailand, where you have a high ceiling in the sense that it's very entrepreneurial and that you got a lot of freedom and a lot of freedom. At your floor is you have a much lower floor, but you still have room in the middle to find that stability. It just kind of depends on what your personality type is capable of being able to handle in said moments, and the country kind of can asphyxiate to it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that's very optimistic.
Yeah. As I go into, there's some really poor. No, it's super low floor. Like we went really low on this. And you climb out. Arguably, there's the theory of climb, but you have the opportunity and stuff. And obviously, there's other stuff that plays into it. I clearly my very expatty kind of mindset is going into it.
Yes. I was there for 3 days. Let me tell you all about it.
Recognize my elitism. My privilege. I too can wield it. No. And that's fair. That's very true. I guess I look at it also even at a local base where now you're just talking about restriction of opportunity and stuff like that. But where in the continent, and I know as a Nigerian, like when education comes into play, we got the great equalizer that ends up coming in, and hence why there's so much push. So I guess what I'm trying to just get to is for you as you traveled and went through these areas. Again, the consistent question I ask: how did it continue to adjust and change your worldview? Because now you're taking off what you've learned from your childhood. You're taking off being in this HBCU environment, as you said, not the most diverse environment at that time. Entering into rugby, which is slightly more diverse and a little bit different. Entering into world culture, and now your view continues to spread more and more and more. So for you, like, how did the Doctors Without Borders impact that?
Well, So I really appreciated all of the assignments that I did, and you can see your impact on a daily basis. You know, one of my favorite assignments was also the hardest, which was in Ethiopia, where we were working with Sudanese refugees who were crossing the border to escape a civil war by the thousands every day. And the impact that I had was tangible, because you know I'm fixing the hospital and they immediately can get treated. I'm building housing for the staff, and so now they can sleep at night. But with all of that being said, I was not seeing the brighter side of Africa. So that's when I signed up to do the Bubesi Pride rugby trip through Africa. And in general, it's an overland trip, but the year that I did it, they had just added Mozambique. And so we flew into Mozambique and then flew from Mozambique to Malawi. And then from Malawi, we drove overland to the other countries. But I spent 2 months, and I estimate we coach probably about 1,000 school kids. And it's 50-50. So we're talking 500 boys, 500 girls, which is another thing I really like about the program. And yeah, it was amazing. And I signed up to do it again this year, but you know how that goes.
Yeah, you know, the pandemic seems to be a big damper on a lot of things. You know,
total buzzkill.
It was funny because when it came to the Bubesi Pride project, so I think I told you whenever you had presented it initially within the group, was I've been trying to get the guy who runs what you call it, rugby. Shucks, I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head. It's a well-known rugby website. And the guy who founded it, and it's literally going to come to me like 20 minutes later, and I'm going to say it out loud, but you know, it's okay. We're just going to pretend like it doesn't exist right now. But you know, it was something that he had talked about, and then he actually had done a. I'm literally trying to search and be like, all right, what's his name? Tell me his name.
Cheater.
But, you know, it was like. He showed me this documentary that he had done about it and his experience with the Bubesi Pride project in Malawi, and it reminded me so much again of Naksu in Thailand and Kampachi Balap in Cambodia, just the African version, which was really uplifting because again it was utilizing rugby, and after the Singapore to Tokyo trip, I'd really been able to get a grasp of being able to say how rugby can legitimately impact culture, not just from a standpoint of sports and athleticism, but literally mindset and development. Because, you know, whenever you learn how to hit people in a positive way, it definitely helps change the way that you look at the world. And we have to make sure we say it in a positive way so that nobody goes like, man, wait, if I just whoop somebody in the face and walk by, I can get new changes. Like, no, calm down.
Yeah, I got that. Real smooth.
I got you. We not going to start any liability movements, huh? Right?
But Gift said
it was okay. Go hit people. Let's go. You'll change your world. Yeah. But yeah, you know, you have that moment whenever you see that. So whenever I was seeing in Malawi and what they were doing, you know, I was impressed from your ground view. Obviously, coaching the kids is one thing, and I can't imagine that there's significantly better feelings than being able to watch kids in situations that are disadvantages towards them, being able to grow within that. But for you at a next level, what were you seeing from what you were doing to how the kids were reacting to how it kind of reacted to them in their local towns and homes?
Yeah, well, so let me just explain a little bit about what it is. So in general, Bubesi will go to a city and let's say you have 10 volunteers in groups of 2. You'll fan out in this the city and go to local elementary schools. So you've got now 5 schools, and from Monday to Friday, we teach the kids just rugby touch basics. And again, we talk to the schools beforehand, so we get them on like they don't really have recess, but we get them during a specific period.
Like a break time or so.
Yeah, exactly.
Break time, okay.
Yeah. And so, or maybe they do have like a gym coach. And so, yeah, the gym coach will be there. So not only do we teach the kids how to play, but we also teach the adults so that when we leave, then they can continue to coach the kids. Right. So Monday through Friday, you coach them and they pick it up like that. The first day it's chaos. And by the second day, like they're on it. They know what to do. Yeah. You've got like all stars. By day 3, you're like, oh yeah, I want him on my team. And so then on Saturday, all 5 schools come together and we put on a big tournament. So we just mark out little small pitches because the kids don't need that much space to run. And we just, for a couple hours, play team versus team, getting the schools to play each other, and then at the end you award a winner, and so the kids love it. Yeah, and so it's just super fun watching it click. With regard to the community, because we're only at the schools like during school hours, like you don't really get to see how the kids then take that out into the community. Yeah. But the program do go back to schools if they can. So, there's certain schools in Malawi that they've been going to for 4 or 5 years now. So you're starting to see how the rugby develops. And then as a result, Malawi rugby, their club teams are now developing, right? Because you've got kids coming from elementary and now they're playing in high school. Exactly. So it is the quintessential grassroots rugby experience.
Right. And I found the name. So, and that's why I was going through it. I was like, I finally got a Grant Constable with Rugby Dump. Oh God, that was gonna drive me crazy if I didn't get this out the way. Okay. No. So you're seeing that, and you, obviously, like you said, you're getting that there. But at the same time, even though if you're not maybe seeing the kids themselves, but you're still living in Malawi, you're still living in that area, you're still interconnecting with the local area. Like, how did you see the local area kind of being impacted? Because from when I was looking at the documentary, like, and you just said 1,000 kids. There's 1,000 kids that you're dealing with. Like, this is not a tiny number. Like, we'd be happy to have that many kids in the stand on a day-to-day. Like, 1,500 to 2,000 people in their stands. You already got a third of that, half to a third of that. You 2/3 of that in teaching kids. So, how is that like whenever you guys are walking around in the townships, in the village areas? How are they reacting to the rugby being presented? And
So now I'm trying to think. So you get that experience in Malawi. Well, so you typically stay kind of like in a campsite or a what's it called? Not a bed and breakfast. A homestay. We stayed, in one in Botswana. It was a homestay, and so it was kind of like again, you're not really integrated with the community. Zambia, there were literally zebras in the campgrounds that we stayed on. Yes.
Man, it's not just all animals. No. We really did have like the zebras were all just around. Like,
it was like, ooh. Okay. And part of that is because we are a group of about 15 people, right? So it's kind of hard to be like, hey, where can we stay? In the community, and we all have to stay together. And so we're in a hostel or a. And then we need to cook for ourselves and all of that. Yeah. But what they do is they do reach out to local existing rugby clubs. So in Malawi, we go to one of the local clubs and like we train with them in the evenings and like help improve their skills and do scrimmages. And where was that? Ooh, it's all blending together.
See, this is why we need to record this. So just in case you completely forget all this in the future, you can be like, look, we got a reference point. All right, we got a reference point.
But I can clearly see, because I take photos, right? So I can clearly see the photo. Like I know exactly who's standing where, but I can't remember what country it was.
Captain list memories. All
right. It wasn't Botswana. It wasn't. Was it Zambia? It must have been Zambia then. In Zambia, yeah, we played, and they were almost like a national team. There were a few national team and then some local teams, and we played a co-ed team as Bessie against them. So I mean, we play all levels, high school to
junior club.
National-ish, yeah. So that is how we integrate with the rugby community, and then of course, you know, maybe sometimes we go out and see what the Friday scene is like.
Or the nightlife, baby. Get that.
But not always. It's about the community, you know.
Keep the respectable, professional. We gotta keep the tag on. But yeah, you guys, we're getting lit. I got you. You know.
Turn up at the campsite.
I just need people to know, even though this is the longest that we've had the conversation ever, and but this is just every time we have our conversations, we're just laughing. It's already been like almost an hour, so you know this. Now it feels like a good time to put a disclaimer, like just in case you skip to this moment.
We're pretty ridiculous. Okay.
So, oh man, but you know, you guys out there, you know, you live in there, and you're getting to see most of that South Africa, literal Southern Africa, not just South Africa. See Southern Africa at its clearest. And this was one I always like to ask. The presented the grown up US presented versus now the real reality, what you're experiencing now. How close were they? How close, or what was the difference that you felt between compare and contrast on it?
So I think people would be surprised at most capitals. Capital areas are pretty bustling, you know. They're live and chaotic, to say the least. Like most capitals are, you know. I mean, Colombo is like that. But I think, yeah, out in the more rural areas, it kind of speaks true to the more simple houses. You are having well water. There's, you know, running water for like the entire village a lot of times. Electricity, though, is, well, it depends on where you are. You could have electricity.
Rolling electricity.
I was thinking, like, even the capital in Zambia has rolling blackouts. So, yeah.
Nigerian, this one is very well known. The what used to be called NEPA in Nigeria. I think Nigerian Electrical Power Association, whatever. We always just say, never expect power always.
Yeah.
No, you learn to enjoy those fans for the moment, and then you find all the cool air that can blow through. Feel it, get the sensitivity in your skin, whatever you need.
Yeah. There's always that one bar though with the generator.
True story. Yo, the generator life is too real, and it's always good. And you're like, yo, where are you getting all this petrol from? Like, how are you keeping this up? It's been like 16 hours. Like, turn the thing off. Like, how are you not overheating? And it'd be the jankiest looking generator too, and it's like runs perfect. It runs so well. Like, it might be loud.
They're real mechanics, though.
This is where you go, yo, how creative are you at making things happen? All right? Like, I broke a little bit. No. You don't replace it. You're going to create parts for it and make it work.
MacGyver it.
Yes. Facts. So, okay. So, but yeah, so it is. I've always felt like there was like, I always remember whenever, I've been to Nigeria whenever I was a kid, and then we didn't go again as a family for like 12 years, and then 14 years, and then I went again. And I remember right before my brother and I, we went again, we had fallen into the trap of what the world likes to tell us about Nigeria versus what we knew, because you go as kids, you recognize only so much. And I remember we were like, man, it's gonna be so boring, we're not gonna be able to connect anything, blah blah blah. This is like 2012. And we get to Nigeria, and man, I remember my brother and I, we were sat there and we were like, man, I don't know why we even said these things. Like, this is so dope. Like, maybe it's just because we were kids. I mean, because he was technically still a kid, because he's 7 years younger than me. But it was like, we definitely needed the reminder to be like, no. This place is dope. Don't let people fool you. It's got its issues, but that's no different than being like, hey, let me go up to the West Virginia, the outskirts of West Virginia, and be like,
exactly. Yeah.
Is this America? Yes, yes, it is. It's the same thing. Like,
Appalachia, what?
No wildness here. No, but it's that same guys. But like, when you get into the nitty-gritty, it's just like it's the same across the board. So it was a nice reminder on that. So that's why I was wanting to see the
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So last thing, wanted to, as we begin to wrap it up, I'd probably talk a little bit more, but later. But you will be back on here again at some point again. In the future, I'll let you know. Okay.
I got projects, so
So we've been all in the discussion, especially after this pandemic. I've been a big believer that the pandemic set up a new era of rugby, what I like to call the diversity recognition era. Not so much that there are different people who play, but now there's the recognition of cultural. So maybe more of the cultural component of rugby, where now instead of rugby being influenced into culture gets to be shown through the filter of rugby. So now we get to see people's variation and perspectives of rugby, because we have to recognize them, whether it's South Pacific and really showing South Pacific, or whether we're here and we're showing the different cultural elements, BIPOC and whatever kind of concepts, instead of just maybe a Eurocentric variation of it.
Yeah.
So as a result, we're now seeing like HBCUs continue to be more put into the light. We started seeing it a couple of years ago after George Floyd. I feel like everything now became very much amped up. And so it gets to the creation of the James G. Robertson and Clive Sullivan Rugby Foundation, which, you have been organizing and putting together behind the scenes. And a lot of people have been asking questions. I keep getting asked about it. Oh, yo, have you talked to Carille? Have you talked to Carille? You talking with Carille? What's going on? I'm like, all right, yes. Like, y'all are late to the game, not me. So,
we've been talked.
Been talking about this. Like, what's up? I want you to take an opportunity to kind of explain what it is that you've been envisioning in this, and obviously what we a lot in the Black rugby community, to say the least, have been discussing for the latter part of the last year or two.
Yeah, well, so my baby, it's Tosin's baby, but I'm the catalyst.
Oh, just do it quickly. Guys, you can listen to Tozon on the previous episodes that are there. Okay, go. Sorry. Got to put in the intro plug. We got a connection here.
So he probably in February made a post about starting HBCU teams, and I was like, "You ready? Like now?" And he's like, "Now, let's do it." And so here we are, maybe a month later, we are incorporated. We filed articles of incorporation with the state of Maryland. We're working on the 501c3. So we're ready to get money. Literally. It's so lame. Sorry.
It's real though. It's real, but that's the look. This is one thing in rugby. Money plays into stuff, so we want to be able to start being able to push it. And it's one thing, obviously, because I obviously my particular interest with it, obviously with the HBCU Rugby Classic and being able to see more HBCU teams. It's been really nice relief to have more people. Now begin to organize process. We got guys like Marcus Woods and Marquise Goodwin and Phaedra Knight, and there's been so many people, toes on yourself, who have been working. And even though the articles of incorporation have just recently come in, the official conversation might have just started. We have unofficially been talking about this for a hot minute,
long time.
So it's not something that is just out of nowhere. And obviously with the HBCU rugby, shirts and stuff like that for me. So, but for you, what being a Howard alumni, being a I like to say a HBCU. Well, let's say HBCU brat, like Army brat, HBCU brat. You can being able to maneuver around within it. I want to make sure there was no offense. It's like I am a college brat. I have moved around because of colleges, because of dad. So I just go university to university. I just want to really dig in. For being understandable. But but being able to have moved within these HBCUs because of your mother and have these experiences. You recognize that there's a cultural element. For you, I've told many people my thoughts on why I think HBCUs are really natural connection with rugby. But for you, what do you feel is the value proposition that goes with HBCUs and rugby?
Well, I just feel like there's a massive population of our community that probably doesn't even know what rugby is, but would be amazing rugby players. Like there's this population that we need to tap into. The resources are what's missing because the talent and the skill is already there. We know that. So let me backtrack a bit. So what the foundation is we are a nonprofit foundation who will provide HBCUs with the resources that they need to grow and develop and flourish in the game of rugby. So we come in with the expertise and the know-how and the money, and we present to the HBCU. Here is what the addition of a women's NCAA team will do for your school, and here's how men's club will also bolster your applications and your scholarships and your all the bottom line numbers that they're looking for, and so we just want to tap into what there's 100 HBCUs. So our goal is not 100, but well, yeah.
119.
What?
I said 119.
19? Okay, all right. So we're aiming for in our first year and beyond for maybe 2 or 3 years to tap into the DMV. So we're targeting Howard, also UDC, Bowie State, and Morgan State, just because of the proximity of all of those schools and the alumni resources that they have, and of course the talent of the students. And we just want to build in that area a little for-school tourney that will eventually, grow and insert into the larger world of collegiate rugby.
Is there a reason why
you had a question?
I was wondering, is there a reason why you're particularly leaving out a certain Virginia-based school has similar acronym to?
Are there schools in Virginia?
I do believe there might be another one. It has a U. It also has an H to it.
I'll have to research that. I just off the top of my head, I can't think of anything.
Hampton. For people who don't know,
All jokes.
Hampton and Howard are really nice rivals of each other. I'm still learning the full extent. I know outside of just the HU extent, but you guys clash in a good way.
Well, I mean, if you look at the statistics, it's not really a competition. But moving on. So. Ooh, it's shady in here.
It really did get very dark. It really did.
Sips tea. Oh, gracious. So yes, we have big plans starting for the upcoming fall semester. We plan to have a women's NCAA team and a men's club at Howard. If we get enough money, we can do 2 schools in that first year. It all depends on the fundraising, but at a minimum, it will be Howard, and then we move on to the other 3.
Awesome. Which means I can't wait to be able to have you guys down at the HBCU Rugby Classic and be able to come and compete out here. So you guys can, actually, because we like to do things in the spring, summer, and I know you guys are still all wintry and cold.
You say that, but I'm so far out of the loop in Sri Lanka. What is winter?
I recognize. I was like, let me step you out of this because you over 10.5 hours in like persistent warmth. So I can't put shade on you. So I'm putting on your other compatriots. All right. The rest of them over here, you will get the shade by association, but I can't talk directly to you.
Just to let your audience know, that is how passionate I am. I'm doing all of this work from Sri Lanka on the other side of the world.
Absolutely. So. And the consistency, that's a whole other story. And I honestly, I would say we had time, but I actually think we don't, because we're going to give him something to come back to. All right.
Okay.
I feel like Sri Lanka is a whole different tale altogether. The adventurer. I put the wrong thing. I put rugby humanitarian. I should have put it as rugby adventurer over here. Scroll down.
I don't know that anyone actually knows what a rugby humanitarian is. So.
This is why it works, because there is no label for you. There is no label. You miss everything. All right. I'm trying. Oh my God. Oh, I love it. I'm telling you, people are gonna be like, yo, this is like the Snyder cut of the interviews. Like, this is all, instead of slow motion, it's all laughs. Like, it's like a 30-minute interview. Like, what's going on? Look, we can't help that we happy people, man. We happy people.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Quote for days.
Love it. So, okay. Where can people go to learn more about James G. Robertson and Clive Sullivan Rugby Foundation? My goodness, where did these names come from, by the way? Yes,
that is the post that I'm going to put on Instagram and Facebook today. So we are named after 2 of the most prominent Black men in rugby history. So James G. Robertson was the first Black man on record to have played rugby. He played in Scotland.
Right.
He in the Gambia to a Scottish father and a Gambian mother, and then he moved to Scotland for school and played there in Edinburgh. And Clive Sullivan was the first Black man to captain any sports team in Great Britain. So he was the captain of the World Cup winning 1972. I'm glad I just did all this today, because otherwise I'd be like,
of all the things to come prepared, like, let's go.
was the captain of the 1972 World Cup winning rugby league team in Great Britain, and he also played for Wales. He was Welsh.
Nice. That's awesome. That's really put some history into this. Let's go. Go. So, all right. So as I said, where can people find or soon to find information about James G. Robertson and Clive Sullivan Rugby Foundation? I'm not even going to acronym it. I'm going to let it all run out. Let people get used to hearing all the names. All right?
Appreciate you. RSRF for short.
I was just ready to go. I was like DGRCS. No, you know what? Screw that. We're just gonna get this out. It's harder to acronym than it is to even say the name.
So we do have an Instagram, and what is it? Where's my phone? We have Instagram and a Facebook. It's new, right? So, and also my memory, I do believe it's RS Rugby Foundation, right? Because it was too long to put both of their names in. So I do believe it's RS Rugby Foundation on both Instagram and Facebook. But if you type out the full thingy, you should be able to find us as well.
Right. All right. Awesome. Well, Carille, I really appreciated this. I enjoyed this. This was a great, because I just got back from Brazil yesterday, so this was a nice first wake up. Look, I'm trying. You're doing that. I'm just trying to get like you. All right, I'm trying to build up to that level. Don't humor me.
It's Friday night over here. I'm ready to.
We trying. All right, I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there to that. I get to be lit in Malawi randomly, or Zimbabwe, or Zambia, or somewhere in southern Africa. Just we're getting there. We're slow and steady. But I appreciated being able to do this. I know we've talked, and I'd love getting to actually now have a solid base to really call you family in this case, because now I know you much better now, and can't wait to see more, and can't wait to continue working with you.
Indeed. Thank you so much for having me on and letting me address the world.
Give yourself out. Give it to everything. Oh, no. Where can people find your YouTube? Because you do have a lot of videos and pictures and stuff that you put on, and I know you have a whole website, so,
Oh, my personal website?
I mean, let the people know what we've been listening. Like promote. Let me help you. All right, promote, girl. Promote.
Oh, by the way, I am a photographer. And I think actually I have. If anybody's in Houston, the Texas Southern University is having an art auction, and I have 4 photographs in the auction. No big deal. The website.
This thing's understated. We're just gonna keep going. Cause I'm a champion. Deal with a champion. Selling the arts, dealing with World Cup winners, and just taking over doctors and super. Stop being so awesome. Continue.
I excel. It's what I do.
That's what I'm talking about. No humility here. Okay. Okay. I'm really very humble. My website is CarilleGuthrie.com. CarilleGuthrie. And my Instagram is I love street photography. So my Instagram is all about what I see on the daily here in Sri Lanka and wherever I travel. So that's at Carille1. Awesome. All right, Carille. Thank you so much. We will be back on it talking some more, and I hope all goes well as you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yo, Carille, thank you Thank you so much. I know you guys. We're just cutting up here. We're just cutting up. This is just great energy that comes across over. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I legitimately love it. Thank you for coming through, guys. Definitely check out some of our other podcasts. The last podcast we had was Marquise Goodwin, coming out of Cali, MLR, ref, Mr. Everything when it comes to referees. The week before that, we had the amazing Erica Mori of the Italian Rugby Federation. We had Robert Perry, head coach for Curaçao Rugby. We had Nicolette Panter, captain for Trinidad and Tobago Women's Rugby. Jess Nielsen, head coach for York University Rugby and a former Canada Rugby national team member. Keishan Downs, the vice president for Jamaica Rugby Union. My guy Ryan Ginty of Next Level Rugby, the key broadcaster for the Rugby Network and for MLR, and the maker of the rugby show MLR All Access. We also had just so many people: Sarah Alisal, Katie Sadlier, Adam Milby, Warren Mullis, and Preston Thompson. We've had Nia Tapper, Phil Thiel, Blaine Scully. We got movie people, Adam. God, this is how many people we keep going. Adam Gray Hayward. We had Front Office Sports, Pat Evans. We got Derek Lipskin. We got everybody from Roots. So if you want to learn more about Roots and what they do, check out Derek Lipskin of Roots. Tiana and Kyle Granby for one of the first episode. Tiffany Faye on here, and if you don't know, former captain for the USA Rugby Eagles. Dr. Amelia Luciano. We've got all levels, all kinds. Collegiate, learn about Prairie View A&M. Check out Raheem Vital on down there. You want to learn about Morehouse College? Check out Saifuddin Safir and part of it. Like, we have everybody and continuing to grow, and thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for always doing this. You keep me excited. I'm so set and ready to do this. Thank you for everybody who's out there. And of course, I want you to know, I hope you're happy. I hope you're healthy. And I hope you know that you, and I'm talking about you, are highly favored. You guys have a good one. We'll talk to you next time. Cheers.